from a dysfunctional past. I want to go there this morning, family. Really, today, I want to talk about in this session one key decision that we each can begin to make starting right now that will assist us in changing the trajectory of our life, improving our life conditions, and in many cases, for some people that may be tuning in, positioning you to reinvent your life, reinventing how you show up. By a show of virtual hands, put a number one in the chat if you can relate to this. How many of us in this broadcast, whether you're watching this live or you're catching this on the replay, you're in a position right now where you are unhappy with your life conditions? The life that you're currently living, it seems overwhelming. Or maybe in some cases, you feel as if you should be further along than where you are right now. Life is unfolding in ways that you didn't expect, and it's making you extremely uncomfortable. You're frustrated, disappointed in yourself, disappointed in your decision, so to speak, disappointed in where you are right now in this season of your life. Put a number one in the chat. Like you have this desire for more, but it doesn't seem as if that more is unfolding in your right now. I want to talk about what we can begin to do in order for us to create that positive change in our life. I see the ones coming up. Ike, I see you in the building. I know I should be further along with a little frustration. I'm right there with you. Yeah, we're going to talk about what you can start doing right here, right now. To begin the conversation, family, let's set the tone for this discussion. Comment below, family. Let's make this personal. My story is about to change. My story is about to change. I see the ones coming up on the screen, family. My story is about to change right here, right now, in this given moment. Let me preface this discussion by saying this. This will be a life-changing conversation. Like what we discuss can transform your life if and only if you apply what we're discussing. I promise you, I'm going to put that guarantee out there. I'm going to put myself out there to declare that today your life will never be the same if and only if you apply what we discuss. So again, my story is about to change. I see them coming up on the comments. Real quick story, family. When I initially started my speaking career and started my business back in 2013, it was one of those moments where I experienced an unprecedented amount of success. I had been laid off from this corporate position, and I had made the decision that I was no longer going to do things that didn't express my heart. So I had this vision to empower and encourage individuals like you. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but ultimately I started taking steps. And as I started putting myself out there, I started getting invited to speak at organizations and a variety of different events. And these speaking engagements were flowing in, right? Like one of my first main speaking engagements was a live televised event. And then from there on, I was getting more engagements, more inquiries. But as I began to progress and the months begin to pass, reality began to sink in. And I started to experience, right, the reality of being a small business owner and being an entrepreneur, where in many cases, the emails were no longer flowing in. The phone calls were no longer coming in. The inquiries were no longer coming in. I'm reaching out to organizations and I'm getting crickets. And it was in this moment, family, that I found myself battling with discouragement, right? I found myself in a position where I was questioning my capabilities. Can I really do this? Is it possible for me to make this a reality in my life? And I'm going through this emotional roller coaster ride internally. And I can recall speaking for free at this one organization. And at that organization, I met a great friend of mine. And this friend named Lucas invited me to a networking event. And at that time, y'all, I was like rock bottom, like mentally, emotionally, and really frustrated about my situation. So I made the decision to go to this event. And Lucas had put in my ear there was a highly successful entrepreneur that was in this space. So my mindset was, how can I connect with this person? right? I was looking for some motivation. I was looking for some insight. I was looking for some guidance because this person was very successful in a number of different industries. So eventually, as I'm at this networking event, I found the opportunity and I pulled him to the side. I shook his hand and say, "How you doing, sir? My name is David Gibson. My situation is kind of unique. I'm an early entrepreneur. I'm very young, so to speak, and ultimately, right now I'm in the speaking industry, but it's really not working out for me and it's kind of frustrating. I was very curious to get your idea and some insights on some industries that you see that are thriving and moving forward in the future." And he said, "Well, what's wrong with your industry, young man?" And then he asked me, he said, "Is there anybody that is in your industry that is succeeding at the work that you're aiming to achieve?" And I said, "Well, yeah, there's some people out there that are crushing it. They're dominating in the speaking circuit and they're doing some great things." And then he says, "Well, if somebody's succeeding at the work that you're aiming to do, the problem is not the industry or the business. The problem is you." And like this hit me like a ton of bricks, y'all. I'm like, this is not the motivation your boy was really looking for, right? And then he says, "You're like most people, right? You think the grass is greener on the other side. But in reality, the grass is greener where you water it." And he said, "Young man, you're going to have to recognize that the grass is not your business. The grass is you. Because if you try to change industries, all you're going to do is have to learn the industry and you're going to take those same practices, same habits, and same tendencies into a new industry and create the same results. If somebody's succeeding at the work that you're aiming to do, they're doing something that you're not doing. And therefore, you've got to change your behavior or change your mindset or change your approach or procedure to create the results that they're getting." So I left that conversation, family, like still feeling discouraged. But there was a shift that took place because what the man had told me was absolutely true. And as I looked at my situation, I said, "You know what? He's absolutely right. If somebody's succeeding at the work that I'm aiming to accomplish, if somebody is thriving in the space that I'm aiming to enter, there's something that I'm not doing that they're doing that I need to begin to integrate into my day-to-day life." And what I'm getting at, family, is ultimately a decision that I made in that moment. And I challenge each and every single one of us to make this very same decision. D1, what decision can I make to reinvent my life? What decision can I make to change the trajectory of my future? D1, what decision can I make to break free from the dysfunction of my past? I'm glad you asked that question, Nicole. Rob, I'm glad you brought that into the conversation. Here's the decision that I challenge us to make. Everybody comment below. 100%. Again, 100%. Here's what it takes, family. In that moment, as I reflected on that conversation, I began to recognize I really wasn't giving 100% to what it was that I was aiming to experience. In essence, I wasn't taking full responsibility for my life, my outcomes, my results, and the things that I was aiming to experience, right? In order for us to break free from the dysfunction of our past, us not getting the results and the outcomes that we envision, you got to be willing to take full responsibility for where you are and where you're aiming to go. Quick question. How many of us can honestly say, I'm not at 100% right now? Let's keep it real, right? Honesty is the first step to progress. Put a comment below, say, "Yeah, that's me." Put a number 1 in the chat, something to indicate, you know what, D1, this is resonating right now. I'm not at 100% right now. There's some things that I can work on. There's some things that I need to adjust. There's a mindset shift that needs to take place. There's some habits that I've integrated in my day-to-day life that are self-destructive and they're sabotaging my success and stunting my growth and progress. I've got to take full responsibility for what it is that I'm aiming to experience. Yeah, I see it, Rob. Let's go. And understand this, family. When we're talking about taking full responsibility, when you take full responsibility, this is what initiates progress in our life, right? This is what advances your life forward. When you make the commitment, I'm going to take full responsibility for every aspect of my life, every aspect, right? No matter what has happened, no matter what has unfolded, I'm going to take full responsibility. Now, side note here. For those that may be saying, well, D1, I hear it. It sounds great. But there's some things that I can honestly say that have happened to me that really was not my fault, right? That I'm not the one to blame. Hear me clearly on this, family. There's a difference between responsibility and blame. Blame is to signal who is at fault. Responsibility is to signal who's committed to improving the situation. Man, I wish we had time to break this one down, y'all. Again, blame is signaling who is at fault, who's the person that caused this situation. But responsibility is to signal who's committed to improving the situation at hand. Meaning, so there's some things that have happened in my life. They may not have been my fault, but it is my responsibility. Let's make it personal, right? Like, you may have been born into poverty, but that doesn't mean you have to be sentenced to a life of impoverished lifestyles, right? Say, for instance, historically, your family has fallen under the category of obesity, but you make the conscious decision, you're going to break the cycle. Or maybe entrepreneurship isn't necessarily the norm in your current environment, but you've made the executive decision, I'm going to disrupt the status quo. I'm going to take full responsibility for my life, my results, and my outcomes, and I'm going to be the one to do something different. What I'm getting at, family, is a decision that you can make, and only you can make it to create this change that you envision in your life. I got to own where I'm at, and I got to take full responsibility for where I'm aiming to go, the outcomes and the results. Now, let me break this down, okay, family? There's some things that often get in the way of us owning and taking full responsibility for our outcomes and our desires. I want to bring them into the conversation so we can be aware of them and begin to indicate how they may be at work in our mindset, our belief system, and ultimately our day-to-day behavior. A few things that I want to highlight. So again, if you're taking notes, write this down. One reason that may hinder us from taking full responsibility, number one is, everybody comment below, lack of identity. Lack of identity. And this simply is describing how you may be unaware of your power and the capacity that you have to create positive changes in your life. Number two is lack of awareness. Not necessarily realizing the areas in your life where you're underperforming or where you're missing out on opportunities. Number three is something that many of us struggle with, if not many, but all of us, right? Fear, feeling intimidated or unsure if you can handle the pressure of what is next. Next one is the need to be right. Oprah Winfrey had this quote where she said, a closed mind is one of the most expensive things, right? Because you miss out on opportunities. And many of us have this need and desire to be right in every scenario, in every situation. And a closed mind that is closed off to perspectives and feedbacks that may give us value and help us grow and improve misses out on that opportunity to experience some level of growth. Next one is low levels of accountability, where you are okay with living a life of mediocrity. Then the second to last one is the need to feel safe, where you struggle with low ambition, lack of desire, because disrupting your normal scares and intimidates you. Then the last one is this, where some individuals just simply choose not to exercise their power, where they operate with the mindset that it is what it is. Whatever life hands me, whatever life throws at me, is what I'm willing to accept. Unwilling to step beyond their comfort zone and do something different. How many people are in these categories? And in some cases, they find themselves complaining about their outcomes and results, but unwilling to put in the work to create the positive changes in their life. Now, hear me clearly on this, family. If we are complaining about something, that is indicating that there's something out there that is better that exists, right? If I'm complaining about something, I recognize there's something better that exists. I can't complain about something unless I have something to compare it to, right? A better outcome, a better result, a better experience that I can have. So due to the fact that I'm complaining about something, I know that something better exists, but I'm unwilling, so to speak, to make the commitment to take full responsibility to create that positive change. And what happens is this, again, we play the blame game. We blame the economy. We blame our parents. We blame our kids. We blame our boss. We blame the coworkers. We blame all these other individuals. And it's easy to place the blame on others. Catch this, family. Simply because placing blame does not require you to grow. And this is the challenge for so many individuals. It's easy to say I'm not where I want to be because of this person that didn't give me the handout. I'm not where I want to be because of this event that took place in my life. That doesn't require you to grow. It doesn't require any level of commitment or dedication. It doesn't require you to exert any energy or apply any effort. And this is why it's so easy to resort to pointing the finger towards some situation or circumstance, because it doesn't necessarily require us to grow. But at some point in time, family, we got to look at the man or the woman in the mirror and understand that where you are now is a result of who you were. So you have to make the conscious and the executive decision. I'm going to own my decisions. I'm going to own my play in what is happening, unfolding in this life. And I got to take full responsibility for what it is that I want, right? Now, here's what's going to assist us in taking full responsibility for our lives. Let's break it down from a terminology standpoint, right? When you look at the word responsibility, what needs to take place is broken down in that word. Responsibility is nothing more than having the ability to respond. Now, granted, we can't control everything that happens in the world around us. We can't control everything that happens before us. But what we can always control is the way that we respond. Ultimately, there's a stimulus and then there's an outcome. And between that stimulus and outcome, there's a decision that you made. There's a result and there's an event. And between that event and the result, there's a response that you led. There's something that you chose to do. What most people do is they get frustrated about the outcome and they blame the event without addressing their response. They get upset about the result and they blame the stimulus or the thing that took place without addressing the decision that they made. But when it comes to us taking full responsibility for our lives, we're going to focus on the center of that formula, right? Because again, I can't control the event. And in many cases, if I'm not controlling how I respond, I won't be in control of the outcome or the result. So the only thing I can control is my response. I've got to leverage my ability to respond. And what will assist you in doing this is understanding the power that you truly have, the things that you can control each and every single day. I can't control what's happening in the world around me, but what I can always control are the thoughts that I think, the meaning and the interpretation that I attach to every single experience, and the actions that I take. That's really all we can control, family. The thoughts that you think on a consistent basis. Something unfolds, the event takes place. What meaning are you attaching to that situation? How are you interpreting that scenario? And the thoughts that you think and the meaning that you attach to that event is going to influence the actions that you take. And those three things will result in the outcome or the result that you experience. If I want to improve my outcomes and results, I've got to change my response, family. Is this making sense? Put a number 1 in the chat if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Because we get so caught into what has happened or what is happening right now in the moment, right? A result of what has taken place, the experience that we're having, and neglecting to address how we're responding to certain situations and circumstances. So to wrap this thing up, family, if you're taking notes, write this down. If not, catch this on the replay. Here's what I want us to do moving forward. Number 1, when it comes to us taking full responsibility for our lives right now, no matter what the situation looks like, no matter what you're currently up against, here's what I want you to believe. And I want this to be a deep conviction. And that is that you have always had the power to create positive changes in your life. You have always had the power to make it right, to do things differently, and to create a better outcome. Out the gate, you got to operate with that mindset, right? With that belief system. Yes, I get it. Life's difficult. It's challenging. You're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. Things are unfolding in an unexpected fashion, right? But no matter what's happening, I need you to understand that you have the power within you to initiate positive changes in your life. And I want you to, number two, focus on your response. What are you thinking? What meaning are you attaching to those experiences? And then what actions are you taking after you gather all that information? That's how you improve your response. Again, your thought pattern, the meaning and the interpretation that you attach to that experience, and then the actions that you take. And the third thing is this, and here's where, if you're taking notes, write this down. If you're in a position where you're not getting the results that you feel you want to experience, or you're not creating the outcomes that you initially envisioned, I want you to ask yourself this series of questions. Number one, is what I'm doing working? Number two, what am I doing that's not working? Number three, what am I doing that's working that I need to do more of? Number four, could I be doing it better? Number five, is there something more that I should be doing that I'm not? And then number six, is there something that I am doing that I should stop? And then seven, how am I limiting myself? And then number eight is where you can get somebody involved. And I encourage us to find accountability partners that will help us level up, right? Put yourself in spaces where you're surrounded by people that challenge you to bring out the best within you. But then the last question is, ask someone close to you that has your best interest in heart the same question. How do you see me limiting myself? You see the difference between the two scenarios here, where you have one person that's blaming the situation and blaming the outcome and blaming the result, right? Blaming what's happening in their life or why they're not where they want to be, blaming other people, blaming the economy, blaming the person in the presidential office, right? Blaming, things that happened in their past, blaming the professor that told them they'd never be anything, blaming their father not being in their life, blaming their skin color, so to speak, right? And then you have another person that says, you know what, it's not my fault that these things have happened, but it is my responsibility, and I'm committed to improving the situation. So I'm going to evaluate what's unfolding in my life and ask myself, how can I be better? What can I do differently? And in what ways can I create shifts and positive adjustments that will assist me in building momentum towards where I aim to be? And what I'm really getting at in this conversation is this, family. What you want and what you desire, it exists. But the only way you're going to gain full access to it is by you taking full responsibility for how you're showing up and the decisions that you're making as it relates to the life that you're aiming to experience. Your objective as a leader is to align your thoughts, your mindset, your habits, and everything about you with the vision and the purpose and the goals that you've established for your life, taking full responsibility, right? Because keep in mind, where you are now is a result of who you were. But where you go depends entirely on who you choose to be from this moment on. So like I found myself when I started my business in a position where I was easy to blame other people and point the finger and say, I'm not where I want to be because this didn't really happen, or I didn't get the opportunities, or, this person has a bigger following than me, or they have more experience than me, or they've been at it for more years than me. Me pointing the finger. I made the executive decision. I refuse to allow my future and my destiny to be placed in someone else's hands, to be placed in a situation's hands or a circumstance's hands. I'm going to reclaim my power and take control of my future so I can change the trajectory of my life. And I challenge each and every single one of us. In fact, comment below 100%. Take full responsibility for your life and where you're aiming to go. Other than that, if we don't take full responsibility, ultimately, we're just enjoying the ride, the best that we can. And at the end of the day, we're wondering and questioning, will I end up in the destiny that I see in my mind? But today, I challenge you to make the executive decision. I refuse to put my fate and my destiny in something or someone else's hands. I'm going to take full responsibility for where I want to go and what I'm aiming to experience. I'm no longer going to complain about situations. Instead, what I will do, I'm going to utilize that same energy to improve myself, to seek out ways where I can improve my situation. I'm going to take full responsibility. If you slid into this broadcast and I was unable to give you a shout out, be sure to comment below. And if, in fact, this is your first time, family, or your first time in a long time, put a number 1 in the chat, then place your first name afterward. Again, put a number 1 in the chat, and then place your first name afterward. I'm hoping that somebody somewhere found some value during this conversation. If, in fact, you did, put some fist up in the comments below. Again, let your boy know you was picking up what I was putting down. Mia says, it's not my fault, although it is my responsibility to succeed. Absolutely. And take that with you, fam. Remember, the difference between blame and responsibility. Blame is to signal who is at fault. Now, granted, there's some things that you were born into. There's some things that unfolded in your life that you had no control over, right? But the difference between blame and responsibility, again, is responsibility is to signal who's committed to improving the situation. So like Mia has reminded us, it may not have been my fault, but it is my responsibility. I may have been born into this situation, but I refuse to live a life that's stuck and sentenced to this thing that I do not desire. I'm going to be the one to create the change. I'm going to be the one to break the cycle. There's some generational cycles that have happened over the years, right? Your grandfather has lived this way. Your father has lived this way. And you're adopting those same practices and same habits, and it's self-destructive and self-sabotaging. Maybe it's some addictions, right? Maybe it's this mindset. Maybe you've been struggling with anxiety or depression. You're going to be the one that's going to say, you know what? The line stops here. I'm drawing the line. I refuse to allow this pattern to live on. I'm going to break the cycle. It starts with me. That's the mindset that we got to have, family. Raymond Gaines is in the building. Great day to you. Hope all is well with you and the fam. Tanisha, great day to you. Facts, absolutely. I need to put this on continuous play. I heard that, sis. Excellent. Glad you all found value during this discussion. Again, please share this out with those that you care about. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, as well as Twitter. X. I call it Twitter. His mama named him Twitter, so I'm going to call him Twitter. What is that? Coming to America, y'all. You may not know what that reference is, but nonetheless, I'll laugh on the inside of me. But if we've yet to connect on other social media platforms, be sure to connect with your boy at D1 Gibson. That's on Instagram, Facebook. That's X as well as Twitter. Again, I'm going to call him Twitter. Mama named him Twitter, so I'm going to call him Twitter. That's coming to America. Then I'm also on LinkedIn, family. Be sure to connect. And then youtube.com/David Gibson. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you've got to do so. In fact, everybody watching this on YouTube, real quick, please hit the like button. It goes a long way in the algorithm. It signals this broadcast and video to those that are interested in personal growth and empowering their mindset. So if you would, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button. Truly appreciate it. Elevationismust.com. Take advantage of all the free resources that are available there. There's a QR code if you can scan that on your cell phone device. If not, just type in elevationismust.com. With that being said, let's wrap this thing up. Latoya is in the building, my Naptown sis. Great day to you. Shalia says, needed this message to reignite my fire. I'm on fire. Excellent. Be a trailblazer this week. Nicole, have a great day and stay safe, healthy out there. Likewise, for sure. With all of that being said, family, let's wrap this thing up. You got dreams to catch and success to create, so we each got to get busy being great as we approach this week's opportunities. Remember, if you're finding yourself in a difficult time or a challenging chapter in your life, this too shall pass. So don't give up. Don't make a permanent decision that's based upon a temporary circumstance. Remind yourself on why you got started in the first place and keep persisting until you succeed. Because one thing is guaranteed. If you give up, you'll never get there. If you quit, you'll never experience it. I want you to keep pushing yourself to see how far you can take this. I want you to keep pushing yourself to tap into that power that you didn't know existed within you. I want you to keep pushing yourself, most importantly, because somebody's counting on you to be at your best. So keep persisting until you succeed. And if nobody else tells you that they love you today, remember, your brother from another mother, D1 Gibson, has nothing but love for each and every single one of you. With all of that being said, family, we'll be back at it next week, Tuesday. We'll be back at it Tuesday, not Monday. I've got a speaking event that I'll be contributing for. But be sure to connect with me on Tuesday. I'll put the information out for you guys to tap in. That'll be Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But in the meantime, I challenge and encourage each and every single one of us to be effective, be successful, live with some passion, and most importantly, 3 pounds to your chest. 1, 2, 3. Be powerful. Have a phenomenal week, family. Peace.
I can see my shot is here, so now I'm gonna take it. Gotta get up, get out, time to stand up, get loud, time to rise up off the floor. And I'm stronger than ever now, can't hold me down no more. I'm waking up, 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 I'm waking up. So I'ma do it right now.